and the latest book review and author interview. It's my pleasure this morning to welcome Grandmaster Jan Markos from Slovakia, and we're going to be discussing his book Under the Surface, the second edition of this fine book. So Jan is a Grandmaster from Slovakia, as I've already said, and in fact he's won the national title on 3 occasions. He's a highly experienced player, playing for the Slovakian national team on numerous occasions. Indeed, at the Olympiads from 2000 to 2014. And he's played in many European leagues, many tournaments, and he's distilled his playing experience into instructional videos and columns in a variety of formats. He currently has 2 books published by Quality Chess: The Secret Ingredient, which he co-authored with David Navarra, and Under the Surface, which we're about to discuss, which won the English Chess Federation Book of the Year in 2018. A second edition has now been published with extra chapters and plenty of additions to the original text. And that's what we're going to be talking about this morning. So welcome, Jan. Very nice of you to come onto the broadcast. How are you doing this? How are you doing this morning?
I'm fine, thank you. What about you?
Yeah, well, very good. But as I've said to many people online, a slightly unusual time for us to start the broadcast. So I hope we're going to get some audience. Well, we have some people already on the chat, so I'm delighted to see that. We have Aravind, who's in Mumbai, which is great. And we have greetings from Hamburg. We have, I know Andrew is in England. So fantastic. We already have some viewers, which is brilliant. So first of all,
what is better than start the day with chess, right? So maybe morning broadcasts will be the new normal.
Maybe we could be setting a trend, which is great. Anyway, listen, great to see you. And so we're discussing your book Under the Surface, the second edition. I've been flicking through this over the past couple of months, and I've really enjoyed it. So first of all, let me start. What inspired you? What motivated you to write this book?
Well, actually, I wasn't expecting to write a book. Yeah, I was writing no, really. I mean, I was writing articles, and I was putting them into my shelf. I was I always liked to think about chess and about the philosophy of chess, and to go into quite a lot of abstraction. And I wasn't really expecting that anyone else would be interested, yeah. But then I published the articles, and they had a very nice response. So I've decided to publish the book as well. And yeah, so it's a book that was written because of sheer love of chess. Yeah, no practical reasons behind that. And maybe that's part of the charm of the book.
Absolutely. And what I've really enjoyed about the book is that there's this variety of themes that you're discussing, and you tell a great story. I should mention to our viewers that in his non-chess life, Jan is a journalist, and that really comes across in the book because it's exceptionally well written. And, well, I love a good story. So maybe you could tell our viewers, just give us an overview of this book. If that's possible.
Well, there are several broad parts in the book. The book consists of 30 plus chapters, but they are divided into 5 parts. And one of them is about general considerations on strategy. Another one is about the pieces. Every piece gets 2 or 3 chapters. Then we have a part about computers, about the beauty of chess, about decision making. There is a broad variety of themes, as you said. Yeah.
So, I mean, essentially, this is an instructional book. You're hoping to, that readers will reflect and on their own play in the light of what you're writing about. And well, for me, my eyes were opened to new concepts actually, which I have really enjoyed this book. So, I mean, how? Well, you said it took you. Well, you wrote it in a sense at the start from a series of articles. I mean, how many years was the gestation period of this book? How long did it take you overall?
Well, actually, I have to say that I'm a retired chess player. Yeah, I don't play anymore,
Yeah.
and I always tried to mix coaching with playing. So most of the topics that are in the book are actually talked about with many pupils. So usually I take the material, I test it on several test rabbits, some pupils, and then I'm trying to distill what I find important about the topic and write an article about it or a chapter in the book. So it was several years in the making for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Well, for our viewers, what I'd like to do is I'd like to show them a position from the book, and this is from the chapter Following the Beaten Track, and something that just shot out at me because you'd used it in training sessions with pupils. So this is a game, Anand against Lecco, played in San Luis in 2005. This famous tournament, World Championship tournament. So white to play. I don't know if you want to sort of give any more, describe anything more about this position.
Yeah, well, generally it's a Sveshnikov position, which was considered unplayable for until like 1980s because of the simple plan we will be showing in the next few moves that White has got. A passed pawn in the making, and he will just push it very far away very quickly. Yeah, so that's basically the point of the position.
I think you've given the game away. I was going to ask our viewers for a move.
Sorry. Okay. So I will keep my mouth shut in the following examples.
Don't worry, we're all good. So I'm going to ask our viewers, what would you play here as white? White to play. Anand against Lecco from San Luis 2005. And well, as a recovering Sveshnikov player, then this position is actually this kind of position is very familiar, and I've experienced this kind of strategy a great deal. Andrew from England says B4 question mark. So yes, B4.
Yeah, that was a huge tell from my side.
So this was in the chapter Following the Beaten Track. So just give us the overview and why this is an important move, and what theme were you illustrating in this chapter?
Yeah, well, generally, as we said, the book was written out of coaching sessions, and it tends to be very practical. And what I have experienced quite a lot in with my pupils is that actually people are trying to win in the ways that are very complicated. They are trying, for example, to play a very sharp opening and just to overcalculate the opponent. And those are the strategies that are like very difficult to handle, and quite often they go wrong. So this is like a part of the chapter which is concentrated on simple wins. Yeah, you get a position where you have a clear plan, and then you follow the plan all the way through, and you win. Yeah, like kind of automatically. And and in Sveshnikov, White has got such an idea at his disposal. He just pushes or creates a passed pawn on the queen side and just pushes it all the way through. And yeah, this is very difficult to handle with black. I am also a retired Sveshnikov player, so I have suffered a lot in these positions. One of the nice resources for black is to just try to get the dark squared bishop to the queen side somehow, or to the a7 g1 diagonal, which is easier to be said than done. Because this involves going to your own camp or the camp of the opposition, and that's quite difficult. By the way, this is also like a topic of one of the chapters in the book, the billiard balls of Anatoly Karpov.
Yeah.
So.
So I was going to say I enjoyed the billiard balls of Anatoly Karpov. That was a nice theme. I call this in in the Kalashnikov, in the Sveshnikov. Yeah, we've got someone on the chat has mentioned this. I call this the bad bishop bounce. Because
That's also nice.
I love it when it bounces via d8 to b6, and actually it's such a common theme. However, in this position, very difficult to execute. Let me just go on with this game just very quickly, and we can demonstrate exactly how Anand just followed this strategy very simply, just to create this pass pawn.
It's quite interesting that White was even like willing to give up the d5 square and take there with the pawn. He just said, okay, there's a b5 pawn, it's enough for me to win.
And I think by this point, it's pretty clear that black is fighting for equality. I think when white...
I think he's fighting for sheer survival.
Yeah.
He did survive in the end, but not without help.
Yeah. Well, Peter isn't a bad player.
But not really, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I think your point in this chapter, as far as I understand, was that one shouldn't disregard the classic themes and classic strategies. One doesn't always have to play for something very direct. Oh, we have a comment.
Basically, when you know your plans and respect the strategical rules of the position as the pawn structure, it's so much easier to win. And that's why professionals quite often just play like almost half on autopilot, just following the strategical rules and going trying to pursue their own plans, basically.
Yeah. If I can put it in another way, know your classics. Basically. We've got a comment from Chess with Lennart, who says, I recently started the new book, ! I've been reading a couple of pages before going to sleep. I love the visual way of writing and really enjoy the book. So there's nice praise for you, which is
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I like using metaphors a lot when writing, because I think that the very didactic way how to write, metaphors just stick in our minds. So that's why we have, for example, billiard balls of Anatoly Karpov.
Sadly, that sticks in my mind. Actually, there's the one that I really like, because I like your little introductions to the chapters. Please tell our viewers about avocados and the role that it played in your family. I love that story.
Oh yeah,
this is great.
That's a Eastern European story, isn't it? Yeah, because it was like it happened before the fall of communism, or just a year or two after, and we just there wasn't such a huge developed market, so we didn't get avocados to quite often. And we didn't know how to eat them, yeah. So we have put them into the middle of our Christmas table, and everyone was like, the entire family was just happy, like, okay, we will get this totally exotic, fantastic fruit. And you know how avocado can taste to a person that is not used to it. It's not very sweet, is it? Yeah, so we just tried it, the entire family, and we were so disgusted. Then it went to the guinea pig, and it didn't want to eat it as well. So, yeah, that was a sad story about the product that you need to know how to use. Yeah.
Okay, so you were unfamiliar with the avocado. The guinea pig didn't even like it, and
No.
but exactly how does this relate to chess? This is where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I understand. I just want.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah. No, but it's a good story. I like the
it's a
story.
strong story, so like it's stuck in my mind. Um, and I have to say that today I'm eating avocados, and half of my family as well. We know how to use it again. But yeah, the point is, if I remember correctly, because I've written it like 7 years ago, is that it's not just about the value of some strategical phenomena, but you also need to know how to use it. For example, when you have a bishop pair, it's nice to know that you should be better when you have a bishop pair. And there's nothing else important in the position. But when you don't know how to use the bishop pair, it's kind of useless. I've seen many people misplaying positions with the bishop pair because they just the only information that they have is that it's a good thing. But okay, well, that's nice, but it doesn't really help you in the subsequent play.
But actually, I think it's an interesting example because I remember as a child playing that I'd heard, yes, the bishop pair is desirable, and you know, I remember getting into an endgame with two bishops against a bishop and knight, and I understood that, well, okay, this should be better, and I didn't know why. And I remember just not knowing what to do, and I remember agreeing a draw or forcing a draw because I didn't understand it. I should say that in my experience, maybe the only way to truly understand how a bishop pair works, for example, is you learn by doing. And once I understood, okay, I should have an advantage, a theoretical advantage, but actually playing these end games out, really helped me. And it was almost by trial and error that I understood, for example, how a bishop pair worked. But it was good to know in the first place, basically. Okay, let me hit everyone with another position. Now, this was absolutely fantastic. So this is a rapid play game, played between Veselin Topalov and Magnus Carlsen. And I'm just going to flick through to get to the critical position very quickly. So a very regular Spanish position.
Yeah, Magnus loves that. He feels so much at home in these structures, and there is not so much danger to be surprised because you can play it by hand quite often.
Well, he likes fixed structures, doesn't he? Is my
Yeah,
impression.
yeah, and yeah, okay, well, there's not so much tactics and so on, so he can just, rely on his understanding, which is just fantastic.
Okay, so Magnus has brought the H pawn into action. The good old Harry the H pawn, and he's avoiding a queen exchange.
He's doing his best to do so, yeah.
Yeah, G4. So it's at this moment where some interesting things happened. So, sorry, we've just got another comment here. Mr. Reynolds says, "Hi Jan, I don't have time to stay, but I enjoyed your book, The Secret Ingredient, and
Thank you.
and hope to get under the surface at some point." There we are. More praise for you. That's great. Yeah, I mean, we're discussing under the surface today, but I haven't seen the book, The Secret Ingredient, that you co-authored with David Navarra, but I've been. This isn't the only person that's been praising this book, so yeah, maybe that's for another time. But just give us a very quick idea about The Secret Ingredient while we're here.
Yeah. Okay, so the secret ingredient is maybe even more practical. It's just dealing with situations that you can come across when you are preparing for a game, when you are actually playing at the board, the typical mistakes and so on. And it actually got the FIDE Best Training Book award in 2021 or so, the Isaac Boleslavsky award. So, and Gelfand was in the jury, so it's probably quite good. And yeah, and we co-authored it with David Navarra, which was a fantastic cooperation. We just had a few very nice Skypes, and he actually is like stepping into my text and disagreeing or agreeing and so on. So he got his type of script, so you can like discern what are my words and David's words, and it's a nice book maybe to have. So yeah, I will be happy to discuss it with you more
another time. Well, but anyway, congratulations on the award. That sounds fantastic. And well, you know, I know David a little bit, and he has a very original mind and very creative player, and a very very kind person as well. So yeah, that sounds really interesting. Anyway, let's focus on this one, and let's come back to this position where Veselin Topalov has just played pawn to g4. So here's my next question for you, viewers. Black to play. What did Magnus do next? And crucially, why? So you can throw out a few moves, of course. The queen has, well, it doesn't have many squares to go to. But where would you play the queen and why? This was a game which actually I sort of vaguely remember at the time, but it just sort of shot past me. And I didn't appreciate it fully until I read your book. So this is just fantastic, I have to say. I love this. Yeah. And the fact that it's a rapid play game, I think, is extraordinary.
I'm trying to keep my mouth shut, but it's not easy.
It's not easy. Well, just wait for a moment, because
I will.
You know, our viewers, they're a very sophisticated bunch, and they come up with very interesting answers. So let's wait for them to see what they come up with before we spill the beans. So this was played in Paris in 2016. It was a rapid play game.
And there is a nice story about how Peter Heine Nielsen was watching it live, and he saw the computer evaluation. So he saw the move like being the best that was played, but he was thinking to himself like, oh no, there's no way Magnus will play this. Yeah, and he played it anyway. So
okay, so Cool Bowmaker says or suggests knight g4 is tempting, but after takes and queen g2, he says that seems annoying. So yes, I think he suggested this and rejected it all at the same time. Yeah, and the queen does.
Yeah, we would need the bishop, the bounced bishop on the a7 g1 diagonal to make this work.
Yeah, exactly. The bad
but
bishop.
Without the bishop, somewhere on this 11 is not enough.
Okay, so we've got Alexis Solanas, queen h8 to exchange the rooks and keep control of the a file. Alpa says queen h8. Aravind says queen trade should be avoided, is my instinct. Well, Alpetification and Alexis, well done on queen h8. So, yeah, Jan, do you want to just explain the idea behind this retreat?
Yeah, well, there's a rule about queens which says that the queen is so mobile that actually whether it's good or not does not depend so much on where it is standing at the moment. Yeah, the queen on h8 can be on a8 or h4 very quickly. More importantly, whether you should exchange the queens or not depends on the kings, not the queens. Yeah, when you have a safer king, you would like to keep the queen on the board. And this is exactly what Magnus is trying to do. He's even like willing to play knight h7 as a answer to queen h2, just to keep the queen alive. And he says, okay, I'm able to get to the f4 g5 with my minor pieces first, and then I will return with the queen. Basically, that's probably the idea. And of course, keeping an eye on the queen side and on the a file is like a nice bonus to that.
Yeah, so your point about king safety, I think, is really relevant here. That, well, let's just suppose the queens were exchanged. Okay, so let me make a random move. So here and queen here.
Queen
yes, I think the point is that this actually can be met by queen d2 and the queen is getting nowhere. So, okay, let's just exchange queens. And this certainly does improve White's position because, I mean, there's potentially a little bit of pressure on the queen side. The king, of course, is not in any danger now. But after queen h8...
And the black e7 bishop is bad.
Yes, indeed.
In the end game.
But let's just see what happened in the game just very quickly. So knight b5, okay, which all looks typical to attack this, and who knows, maybe come in here. But now Magnus plays knight h7. Another retreat.
Ignoring the c7 pawn.
Yeah, that's true. So, but these pieces are coming in very quickly, actually. Queen h2. Rook here. Queen d8. I mean, this is beautiful, actually. I like the geometry.
It's like what is important to get into the White's position are the minor pieces. The queen will come very quickly later.
And this is nice. That, I mean, this is poetic. That the queen,
triumphant return.
Yeah, the triumphant return, exactly. So this is happening. I mean, obviously this is not very good for White, and otherwise, well, this is happening anyway, and f3 is falling.
Yeah, there's no one to stop the intrusion of the queen, really.
Yeah. So here is where Topalov resigned or lost on timer. I'm not exactly sure. Aravind says, what about queen h2 here? Well, if queen h2, Aravind, I think just knight h7 and everything is okay again because there's no queen.
Bishop g5, bishop f4, pushing the queen away and then returning with the pieces.
And Melrakan says it's basically all because of that g4 advance. Well, indeed, it does create some horrible weaknesses. But then again, I suppose one could argue that this is rather sensitive anyway. But yes, I should say that this is from the chapter Smart Retreats. And actually, I'd like to show one other game from this chapter because I thought this was particularly striking. And again, a game I hadn't seen before. So this is a game between Smyslov and Spassky, played in 1959, Leningrad 1959, the good old Soviet days. So let me just zip through the first few moves very, very quickly.
Yeah, well, the entire chapter Smart Retreats is trying to fight our idea that we should play forward all the time because that's the active way of playing. In fact, quite often it's not important when you are maneuvering like via which squares you are maneuvering, but where are you heading and whether you can get there. So quite often you can go via strange looking square, but it's important. What is important is the destination.
So, White to play, everyone here. White to play. What did Smyslov play next? And we've got another situation where white has the two bishops, or at least what we were discussing earlier anyway. So white play. What's next? Well, there's always a little bit of a delay, and it's good to give everyone a chance just to take in the position.
We have seen the position before, but not the viewers. So it's you should take your time, dear friends, and just have a look at it with full concentration.
It helps to also, tap someone on the shoulder and say, that's a good move here. So you say, you're in your non-chess life, you're a journalist, but you're still involved with chess. You're coaching. Is that correct?
I have a few pupils, yes, and I'm writing some articles and so, but like I don't know, 75% of my time go to non-chess stuff.
Yeah.
At the moment.
Okay, we've got some suggestions here. Bishop e2 is suggested by Lennart.
Mm-hmm.
We've also got a4 suggested by Stupid. I love the handle.
Not at all. Not at all.
And we've also got rook f3 suggested by Tony. And also Jens Thomas suggests rook f3 as well. And Alpa and Alexis, who seem to be soulmates, as they've suggested the same move. Okay, well, first of all, Jan, let's just talk about rook f3. What's your view of rook f3?
Well, probably rook g3 is the idea, yeah, but I'm afraid that the center is like too open to go for some direct kings connecting the rooks when black will try to answer along the c file or the d file. I just don't want to have one of my rooks on g3, and rook g3 is quite an unpleasant move because it probably will lead black to play g6, because what else? Yeah, so it's an interesting idea, but maybe it wouldn't be my first choice.
Okay, so there is certainly something to it, because there aren't many pieces around black's king, so yeah, it's a very direct method. But as you say, when c and d files are open, you feel like black could get some counterplay here. But yeah, it's very dangerous. What about a move like a4? What's your feeling about that?
Yeah, I like more generally. I wanted to when you were speaking about the bishop pair and said that you have learned to play these positions by doing. Correct, but there's like lots to know about the bishops, like some general strategical knowledge. And one of the parts of the knowledge is that you shouldn't be pushing the pawns without really taking it, being very careful, because once you create some weak spots for knights, and they will just sit there on the outpost, for example, on b4, that might just annihilate your. Because if you can get a5 in, you can take care of the e3 bishop, which is the more important from the bishop pair. We have a nice rule that when you have a pair of bishop against the bishop and the knight, you should take more care of the bishop your opponent has not. Yeah, so black has got the light squared bishop, so we should care about the dark squared bishop more, because, for example, when they get exchanged, these light squared bishops, you will end up with the good bishop against the knight. So I would think about whether black can go a5 and just block us there. That would be maybe my question, getting some space for the knights. But generally, like if this is still good for white, which is quite possible, then a4 is also good. Like getting a4, a5 is nice, definitely.
Yes, that would be.
I mean, a4, a5 for white, that would be nice.
That would be really nice, yeah. But as you say, it's not clear whether this has actually improved white's position.
Yeah, because it gives black the outpost on b4.
Yeah, but yeah, coming back to this move, I think I kind of gave it away at the start. Queen e1. Still, it's a very striking move to my eyes.
Yeah, sure.
Very confidently played by Smyslov, actually. So the idea is simply to put the queen on f2, and in that way, as you say, taking very good care of this unique bishop, and finding a fantastic square. So the bishop on e3 is unopposed, and if it lands on b6, obviously this is just fantastic. More than that, as we're going to see, the queen is very usefully employed, not just on this diagonal, but on the f-file. And it just, everything fits into place. And in fact, Spassky, okay, he was very young in 1959, but he was absolutely destroyed in this game.
Yeah, he lost really like a child. Maybe he was a child at the
he kind of 59. Yeah, well, he was born in 37, I think.
Okay, 18. That's not so little.
Yeah. 30. No, he was 22, 21, 22, something like this.
Okay, well.
Yeah, but still, yeah.
There are people that are world champions at
Indeed. So here is where Spassky resigned, and this.
That's queen c6. Yeah.
And mate on g7. But yeah, I mean, once the queen reached here, I mean, it's so striking. I mean, Spassky's position just fell apart.
What I find striking is the vision of Smyslov, that he actually, like, having the queen on c3, which looks like a decent square, he was able to see that, okay, actually I have a better square. Yeah, he was thinking in patterns that he can use the f1 rook and the e3 bishop, like for two cooperations with the queen. That's just very nice. Maybe queen c2 works as well. Oh, maybe not. There's knight b4. I'm not sure. But queen e1 looks like, even aesthetically, it looks better, right?
It's on a
because we chess players are also aesthetical beings. Yeah, sometimes we play a move because we like it.
Yeah,
we find it beautiful.
It's on a dark square somehow. But okay, it either works or it doesn't. In this age. But yeah, that's an example I really liked. And actually, there are some. I mean, I could give all the positions that you had in this chapter on retreats, because they are, as you say, they're very elegant actually. And actually, yeah, the aesthetics, the beauty of chess is something that you mention quite a lot in the book, actually. So could you expand a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, first of all, beauty in chess might also be practical, because when you find the move beautiful, especially when it's a strategical move, not a tactical one, because in tactics, really, you need to calculate a lot and be sure that you are right in a very concrete way. But in the strategical realm, seeing a beautiful move means that your experience from the past years and past games has somehow subconsciously distilled in your aesthetical, judgment. So I wouldn't underrate the aesthetics. Like, I think many strong players just are not willing to play a move that even feels good because of calculation, but they just hate it. Yeah, so they just don't play it. That's, I think, happens quite often. And also, like, for me, aesthetics of chess is one of the reasons why I'm playing the game. Yeah, because I was never really very competitive. So I like to win, of course, but I never was willing to train long hours or work hard on my physical stamina or whatever to be more successful at the tournaments. But I was always like attracted to the depth of ideas and to the aesthetics of the entire thing. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why I'm playing chess. Think I'm not alone in this. Yeah, that many people just play chess because they like the game.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to move to the next example, which is from the chapter. Let me see.
Looking for a move, no commitments.
Looking for a move, no commitments. You beat me to it. About the principle of universality. Wow. And you give an example. You start the chapter with something again that's a very means a lot to me, because you talk about the Sicilian Najdorf. And you say, when I was a youngster, I couldn't understand where the incredible popularity of the Sicilian Najdorf came from. It's so silly, it's so useless. But then, well, you talk about A6. Do you want to you carry on with about A6?
Yeah, well, maybe we can just type in the Najdorf position.
Oh yeah, sure.
To have it in front of our eyes.
Yes.
Yeah, basically, when you are playing the Najdorf as black, and you are playing this 5A6, which just distinguishes Najdorf from the other Sicilians, it's just you are not developing any piece. Yeah, you are not preparing any development. So just play A6, and just feels so strange. But the like 98% of possible positions. Yeah. If you play G6 instead of A6 and getting into dragon, your bishop will never be on E7. Or when you play E5, the bishop will never. If you play, I don't know, when you put the knight to C6, it will never go to D7, and so on. So when you play A6, you are what he does, and then you get more time to adapt and to be flexible. By playing a move that is not so useful at this exact moment, but it will be useful in 98% of positions. Like Sicilian, you can do this because the black is kind of how to say, conservative in the center. Yeah, he didn't play anything to the fifth rank, so white needs more time to get his pieces into the black's position. Yeah, it's like longer way to E6 or D6 or somewhere. So black gets a little bit of time that he wouldn't get, for example, in the Spanish to play such a semi-waiting move as A6 is.
Yes, that's what I always enjoyed about playing the Najdorf. It's this waiting move, so you respond to how white plays. So, for example, when bishop c4 comes, then we know that this diagonal should be blocked. Then we can play e6 with a clear conscience, and we shut out the bishop. And
exactly. No one answers e5 to bishop c4.
Yeah. However, if bishop e2, then we have the freedom to play e5, and the bishop sometimes sits on e6, and yeah, there's not a problem with this diagonal, basically. So yeah, it's the kind of flexibility. So yeah, we're talking, this is sort of high-class strategy, actually. It's a kind of a waiting move, but a6 can be useful, can be a universal move. So we're looking at a game between Emil Sutovsky, who is now heavily involved with FIDE, and Jan Plachetka. And he's Slovakian, isn't he? I seem to remember. Yeah.
Yes. By the way, wonderful pronunciation.
Oh, thank you.
of his name, yeah.
I think I played Jan many.
It was a very nice Slovak pronunciation.
I think I played Jan many years ago.
Yeah.
Anyway,
first Slovak and Grandmaster.
Yeah. So this is from this chapter, looking for a move, no commitments. So I'd like to hand this over to our viewers again. So white to play, what would you do next? I thought this was a really striking example. White to play, and it's a theme that I've often discussed when I'm looking at games on the channel, actually. I thought this was really striking. So white to play, everyone. What would you do next, and why?
This was played at the Slovakian Championship, so I was like playing the next board.
Ah,
So it was like really beautiful to see how Emil is able to just think about the chess strategy. That was very nice.
yeah. I always think of Emile as,
A tactician, right?
well, yeah, he loves the initiative, and he has a nose for the attack, and well, again, I've sat next to him playing on the same team actually in England, and some of the games he produced there were just sensational. Just his instinct for when an attack is possible was superb. So Melrakan says, well, maybe a knight maneuver. Knight f1 to g3 to e4. And Jens also says, yes, the knight needs some improvement. What's your take on that, Jan?
I would say that the viewers are feeling very well that the e4 square is important. That the e4 square is the axis of maneuvering, as Aaron Nimzowitsch would say. Yeah, that's the place where maybe not just the knight, but also the other pieces are bound to use it. So that's nice, but maybe we are not yet at the heart of the example.
And Merakan also says he's also eyeing up queen h5 with potential attacking chances if that pawn on f5 is ever taken off. Yes, well, that would be a kind of a dream if you manage to remove that one. Yeah, so as Jan says, basically you're all thinking along the right lines, but not quite there yet.
We are not there yet. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Which is normal, yeah, because
Yeah.
even Emil had like several minutes to ponder about this one.
Yeah, classical
And you
game.
just have few seconds, so it's not simple.
Yeah. So this was played in 2002.
I was 17.
Oh, okay. Aravind says Queen G4 improves the queen. It's a standard move. Also keeps an eye on E4. Well, this is true. But okay, so Jan, you've given them a massive clue because Melrakan says, if E4 is the key, then what about exchanging on C5 to free up some space? Well, indeed. So Emil makes a really anti-positional move, giving up this beautiful bishop, giving up the dark squares potentially. However, watch what happens now, because for me this is like an avalanche. It's incredible how white's pieces just flood over to the king side. And yes, E4 is the fulcrum. Everything goes through E4. It's like, one of these interchanges in the motorways where everything goes through E4. And black.
And white is ignoring the A4 pawn and also the B6 bishop. He just gets all the material to the king side, and it must work, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is incredible. And basically every single one of white's pieces.
It's like four footballers going, to give a goal, to score, and there is this single goalman sitting.
Yeah. And it's hardly surprising that with black's pieces, well, okay, you could say the rooks play some kind of defensive role, but the rest of black's pieces just can't contribute to the defense at all. And yeah, hardly surprising that
it worked.
And actually, what I love about this is the switch across the board, and that was the final move. Probably, well, there are going to be other wins, but Queen A7 is also a very elegant finish to the game. So yeah, just fantastic how everything works through E4 in that position. Actually, I was going through the game, And it seems to me that black messed up pretty badly here.
Yeah.
Because taking on f5, suddenly this bishop is alive again. If black doesn't take on, I know it's hard to live with a knight on f5. However, it seems to me that this was the culprit. But
Yeah. I mean, Jan Plachetka was a very strong tactician and a lover of life, and so, but he had a very light hand. Yeah, he was able to play a move quite spontaneously, and this looks like one of those examples that actually he gives away the bishop pair and prolongs the diagonal of the light squared bishop of white, and that's quite problematic.
Yeah.
But if we could just come back to the 22nd move of black after f6. Yeah, well, why is this example in the chapter of no commitments? Because I was expecting that many people would just try to storm the black's position with a pawn avalanche, yeah, not a piece avalanche. So playing something like g4, h4, g5. Not so many people in the chat here, because especially young people just try to storm it with the pawns. But this also weakens the white king. Yeah, that's why I'm saying or that is so much better to play it with your king safe, with the pawns on g2 and h3, and just put the pieces in front of the pawns rather than just trying to open it with a caveman approach and then find out, oh, my king is weak and open as well.
And this is a theme that, again, I discuss a lot on the channel and with my students. They often will work with their pawns instead of their pieces. So it's exactly as you're saying. And what's striking is that when we get to this position, and of course, your opponents will always have counterplay. But it really doesn't matter because the king is so secure. When the pawns are like this.
Yeah.
Whereas once g4 is played, then, well, one never knows. There could be perhaps a pawn sacrifice and a knight coming in here, and suddenly there's counterplay.
It might even be like objectively good, but then time travel approaches, you miscalculate, and suddenly you find out that you are with your bear king. Maybe you will be a piece up, but there will be some perpetual or some nasty counterplay. Like we are trying really when we remember the first example with running with the b pawn, we are really trying to play chess in such a way that our mistakes will not be very costly. Yeah, so that's
exactly.
Nice.
It's a very practical way of playing. Now I can see our time is running short, so there's a subject that I really want to discuss actually, because you talk about using computers. And you give some very striking examples. I thought this one was very, very interesting. Also not completely clear, but so this is from an engine game, Rybka against Ivanhoe, played in 2011. Do you want to just give everyone a very brief summary of your sort of view about using engines, perhaps, in your studies?
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, we have to say that the book was published really in 2018, and some examples are so as old as 2011. So today the computers are somewhat stronger than they were before, when we have to keep that in mind. But generally, the fact that the engines are so strong today are a huge danger to chess players, because they just think that they have the answers in their pocket, basically in their mobile phone. but the computer never gives you a general advice. It can only give you an exact move and at some exact moment, like after the 22nd move in your game, you should have played this. But he doesn't tell you why or how to decide in a similar situation in your following game and so on. We players, we are thinking more in words than in lines. So it's very important when you are looking at the position of your computer to try to generalize for yourself. And also, I have a strict rule that when a pupil plays a game, he or she should analyze it without the computer first. And only then I will have a look with the computer, and then we will analyze together. And then if he or she wants, he can look with the computer on his own. But basically, we have like this 3-step way of analyzing, because when you just put the engine on the game, when you when you have like finished it, all the mystery disappears, and you will never have the motivation to look at it without a computer again. So that's important. The most important thing is that the computer is very strong, but it doesn't give you a general piece of advice that will help you to be a better player. So you need to get this alone, or from books, or from the coach, or whatever.
Yeah. You give some examples in the book where you've looked at some engine games, and you kind of say that it opened your eyes to new strategies, and I think that was very interesting. So I'd like to give our viewers this position. In fact, I think there are probably several good moves for white. Well, I know there are, because I checked it with a more up-to-date machine. However, I think it's quite striking what Rubka came up with in this position. So white play, how would you all play this one as white? As I said, I think there's more than one good move for white. We should note the 2 bishops. However, the light squared bishop is about to be exchanged off, so it's not so significant in this position. So white to play, everyone. Sorry.
It's a ghost bishop pair, yeah? It will disappear immediately.
Yeah. One is about to disappear. But actually, this is another example where pawn structure is rather significant, and is kind of an illustration of why the Spanish is quite viable for white. That basically you're tempting black to push forward with b5, which can create some weaknesses. So there you go. That's a massive hint to our viewers. Alexis says, this was fantastic stuff. Just ordered the book. Thanks a lot, Daniel and Jan. There we are. Well, it's all been worth it.
Yeah.
Yes, I should mention to our viewers that I've pinned the link on the chat to the book that you can buy directly from Forward Chess. You can also buy it directly from Quality Chess, and indeed New in Chess as well. So yeah, that's the simplest thing to do. Just buy it directly from the publisher. Merakan says, first of all, I want to solve the problem of that knight. I don't like c3. I want to put the knight on f3. So bishop c3 comes to mind. Bishop c3 might provoke b4, which can create a weakness. Okay, interesting thoughts. Bishop c3. In fact, I should mention that I looked this up, and this was actually played in an email correspondence game, and this occurred. The game went like this. I think we could say that white is slightly better here, although yeah, by this point probably black is okay, but not completely there yet. There are certain weaknesses. The knight
c5.
Yeah, c5 square. Okay, but this is. I mean, who knows what's going on with these email games? Looks like heavy computer analysis. But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
It was in 2012. The computers maybe weren't that strong, and yeah, White actually won the game, which is today in a winning correspondence game is a small Christmas.
yeah. Actually, this looks like quite an extraordinary game. Actually,
Yes, yes.
Unbelievable game. So, okay, that's a topic for another time. But anyway, I think Melrakan, we can say that your move Bishop C3 is fully valid, and certainly.
Sure.
White enjoyed a pleasant position. So I think it's one of a couple of moves that are pretty good. Dr. Gastro says knight c3, simple development. Well, I can't believe it's a bad move. Yeah, I think it's reasonable. In fact, I had a quick look at this myself because I was intrigued to see what could possibly happen. I mean, this is a sample line. Probably black is okay here. But, I mean, knight c3 is reasonable.
Yeah. Well, the only argument against that is really knight b4. If black doesn't go knight b4, then... Which is a kind of a tell, right?
Okay, so let's talk about the move itself. a3, and... Yeah, I mean, this, to my eyes, this is a very surprising move. So it's kind of interesting that Rybka, which is a pretty decent program, actually came up with this move and even allowed this anti-positional recapture, or seemingly anti-positional recapture, taking away from the center. But the point is that there is potential to attack down the C file.
Yeah, well, the C and D pawns, their fates are connected, and one of them will be always a backward pawn. So that's what White is hoping for, basically, to attack those two pawns and grab one of them later on.
Well, the game went on like this. I mean, it's pretty.
So Ivanhoe was able to find some complications there.
Yeah. So, but it's still a very unclear position. But I think you were giving, as I said, you were giving this as an example of surprising moves that actually, well, they do have.
Yes, because like every now and then, the computers are showing us the limits of our strategy thinking. Yeah, they are coming up with new topics. Like the entire Matthew Sadler's book Game Changer is about this, like how Alpha Zero was able to come up with new strategical ideas. What was most striking for me when speaking about computers is that in some positions they just ignore the time altogether. Yeah, we are, most of us human players, we are trying to play like as quickly as possible, efficiently using time and so on. But I think that chess computers are pretty much able to discern that in some positions that there is no hurry at all, and are playing and maneuvering for 50 moves. That's quite interesting for me, for example.
Yeah. Okay, but let's have one more example. I thought this was, again, very interesting because it's a kind of position that I'm very familiar with, playing on as a basically, I suppose most of my career I played e4, so this is a very familiar kind of position. So again, it's Ivanhoe against Stockfish, an engine game in 2011, and it's a pretty standard Philidor position. In fact, I've just been discussing this on for my patrons because this was played. I don't know if you saw some of the games from the World Cup, but Sam Shankland employed the Philidor a couple of times against Vidit with success. He handled it in just slightly, or maybe a slightly new way. And he played it actually in a similar style to this with black. Instead of playing with b6 and a6 and b5, he just played like this and put the knight on e5 and drop the bishop back like this. I mean, actually very sensible. Anyway, it's white to play. So again, I think we'll have this as our final example for our viewers. White to play. How would you play as white here?
Okay, in a blitz game, everyone would play the automatic bishop f1, right?
Yes, we should say that the knight has just
Think
reached here.
differently about it, yeah.
Yeah, so if you're suggesting bishop f1, then I think I'm going to say to our viewers, good move. As you
Good,
say,
yet standard.
standard, good and standard, or good but standard. I don't know.
Yeah.
Of course,
But let's look for something more original.
Yes. So not the standard bishop f1, I should say to our viewers, but can you think of another move which fits the demands of the position, as they say? So white to play here. So we're challenging our viewers for some original strategy. I have to say, Jan, that even knowing the move here that was played, I still wouldn't play it.
Well, interesting. I like it a lot, I have to say.
Yeah? I find it offends my positional sensibilities too much. I still can't get over this. I think if it were let's say the only move, the only way to play the position, then of course you do what you have to do. But as bishop f1, it seems to me, leaves white comfortably placed, then I would still go with that. But it's interesting. We've got Stupid suggests h3, stopping either knight g4 or bishop g4. Okay, we've got surely not f4, says Melrakan.
Yeah, well, we can maybe agree on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of pawn moves.
B6, maybe, and knight g4.
Melrakan, I've got to say, you have to ask your king, how does the king on g1 feel when the f pawn advances? This is English chess. Everyone, this is the kind of thing in England. Of course, we're famous for the Grand Prix attack. f4, mate the guy. And I kind of, I always say I think English chess would be so much better if the pawn on f2, or vice versa, the pawn on f7 were glued to the board. English chess, we would have conquered the world by now.
Well,
okay, Merakan says I would hate playing f4. Okay, he's Chess with Leonard says rook a3. Wow. Now, okay, listen, that is indeed original.
Yeah.
Maybe we salute you, Leonard.
Probably d5 is direct refutation.
Merakan says, okay, I think Merakan is now giving a sensible suggestion. He says, what about retreating here? Well, I know what I feel about knight f3. I mean, it would allow, worst case, it would allow black to exchange off a lot of pieces.
Yeah,
which I think
we have
would certainly ease any congestion. I mean, maybe even queen d7 to e6 is possible. I mean, one could get all. Yeah, and seems very solid for black. So I think not knight f3. Let me put everyone out of their misery. Bishop f4 was played by Ivanhoe. Jan, talk us through this one.
Yeah, well, maybe it's not just the move, but rather the concept that white is willing to to leave the c4 bishop for bishop c4, please. Let's go there. White does not have the bishop pair. White seems to have this completely spoiled pawn structure. The d6 pawn is actually quite vulnerable now. The biggest obstacle of getting to d6, which was the e5 knight, has disappeared. That's why we played bishop f4 and not some other move. And we have the d file. We also have the b file. And what is maybe also important is that we are having two knights, and the opponent just has got the one f6 knight, and that's important when you have weaknesses or weak spots, that when the opponent doesn't have too many knights, he might have problems to actually use the spot. Yeah, for example, knight d7 immediately, I think, runs into knight f5, knight e5, c5, or something like that. Knight d5, maybe I can go c5, and so it's not so easy for black to get to some beautiful square and then just slowly use our weaknesses. We have this also dynamic advantage at the moment, and white has got what I like about the play that white has. Yeah, you just put something to the d file, to the b file, and try to take on d6, which feels like a nice plan.
Yeah. So basically, white has a very simple plan, and can put pressure here, and it rather restricts the black bishop here, for example. So yeah, it's striking. It's anti-positional, but
or it's against what we usually call to be positional.
Yeah.
And that's what is interesting with this computer game, that every now and then there is some idea that we can actually like incorporate into our positional understanding, and this is happening in the openings a lot. Yeah, people are finding new ways in the openings because of computers, but it's also possible in the strategy.
Yeah,
that you just find out, okay, this is maybe also playable.
Yeah. Okay, I think we're over time as usual. We always run over. So listen, Jana, I really appreciate your taking your time, but I think we should wrap things up now. Thank you everyone for contributing. It's great to see you early in the morning. I think the difference this time is that I think we've got some viewers in Asia who and Australia who maybe have tuned in when other times aren't so suitable for them. So again, thank you everyone for joining us. And there we go. Let's just have another look at the book. So we should say this is the second edition, and you've added new chapters from the original.
I've added, I think, 4 new chapters into it. So even if you have the first edition, you might be tempted to get the second one to see what's new.
Well, I hope so, because I've really enjoyed looking through the book. And I should also say that you've updated the text in so many places that there are so many additions to the 2018 book. That's absolutely clear. So you've clearly worked extremely hard on this, and as I said, great stories and very, very enjoyable book. So good luck with it. It really deserves to do well, and maybe it would be really nice if we could talk about your book with David Navarra,
Secret Ingredient.
Yeah, Secret Ingredient, which everyone is telling me is a great book. So I should take a look at that, and hopefully, if you'd like to come back, it would be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. Thank you, Daniel. I mean, it was a very enjoyable time. It felt like half an hour for me. It was like really, well, that is usually the case when talking chess, right?
Absolutely.
But thanks for the invitation, and thanks for to everyone who came, and despite the morning time, that was a very nice thing that you joined us. And I will be happy to come next time for sure.
Fantastic. Excellent. All right. Well, we'll leave it there and See you, everyone. There's lots coming up on the channel. Lots coming up in future with Jan and his work. So look out for his name and his articles wherever you can find them. All right. See you, folks. Bye now.
Bye bye.